much strength to speak loud. Can you hear me back there?
Yeah.
So Nina is my right hand. It's not my publicity manager. Literally. Okay. Nice group. Do I know anybody? Nobody? Okay, well, I'm here. I'm glad I was invited. I'd like to share my message with anybody that's willing to listen. What I'm trying to do tonight, with the few minutes that we have, is just make you aware of things that are going on with our bodies that we usually don't pay attention to. The healthcare system doesn't pay attention to, and we as people have to learn about that. So let me find my slideshow here. So my motto is be smart. You have to work in harmony with God, which is pretty close to nature. You can't work against nature. It's like working against God. So if you know, whatever the challenge is, whether it's losing weight or regaining health or you name it, there's many, many challenges in life. It's important to be well informed about the laws of nature and about realities, so you can work in harmony with them rather than working against them. Because if you work against them, your chances of succeeding are rather slim. Okay? So everything you see on TV and all the commercial stuff that's there, they don't work because they're all designed to make money, not necessarily to help particular individual people. All right, so, okay. So by license, I am a chiropractor. I've done a few other things in my life. And our office is right down the street there, across from St. Joseph's Church. So I'm supposed to talk about losing weight, right? Weight and, okay. Because there's a lot of topics that have all the similar angles. So when it comes to obesity in particular, it's not a new phenomenon. It's been around. Okay, there's always been an overweight person in every town and every village. But what has changed, you know, you all have seen the big Japanese wrestler, what are they called?
Sumo.
Yeah. Big fat sumi wrestler, and they're strong. Doesn't mean that you're weak and, you know, 300-pound football player. But obesity has become an epidemic in this country, and it's now spreading to the young folks, and every third child in middle school is overweight now. 1 out of 3. And there is some health consequences. Is this supposed to go over there? No?
Yes.
I thought you saw what I saw. Turn it on. Okay.
Has anyone ever worked one of these before? It's not.
Gone.
Oh, it
Even
is.
so, I may have to restart. Sorry, I thought it was.
That's okay.
Cap off.
I don't know how to work that. That's coming.
Oh, there's something. Lights coming through now.
Yeah, it takes a second.
Oh, there it is. It's on. Let me see if I can dim some light. Yeah. It's on.
All right.
Oh, I gotta lower it.
Try to work it like that.
All right.
Okay, that's my name, Bernard Straile. I am a local doctor. chiropractic, but I specialize in energy medicine and natural and alternative and complementary techniques and so on. So as far as the healthcare system is concerned, it's in completely on a physical paradigm, you know. So your doctors can only help you after you have developed some sort of a problem that can be physically analyzed, including laboratory work. There's nothing shows up in your blood, and nothing shows up in the MRI, and nothing shows up visually by inspection. The system is lost. It's simply unable to help you. So, for example, you know, with such things as asthma or allergies, or it's the only remedy that we have is really just to treat the symptoms with medication, right? But as far as curing anything is concerned or healing it, we don't know how to do that. So that's what I have tried to learn over the last couple of decades. And there's some self-interest involved. I've done it to figure out my own problems because nobody else could figure it out, so I had to do it on my own. And that's what you have to do. You have to learn about yourself because everybody's body is a little different. And just like everybody's soul is a little different, there's big similarities, but there's also differences. They're significant, they're important. And it's important to figure them out and address them so you can be successful. Otherwise, you know, it's like beating a head against the wall. So, okay, so it is a cultural thing, and I don't want to blame the United States for the obesity, but it is spreading, and the reason why is because the way we eat, and a lot of this has to do with the way we eat, and okay. Let me see how I break this down. All right, so I'm just going to try to analyze the phenomenon so then we can tackle it individually and be successful at it. Some of the causes for this modern day wave of obesity, or this problem that seems to be widespread, is the lifestyle. A lot of it is sedentary. We sit in our houses and then we sit in our cars to drive where we're going, and then we sit in front of a desk at work, and so there's a lot of sitting going on, which is a problem because we're really constructed originally to be moving, to be, you know, to be moving, hunting the buffalo, and we don't do that anymore. Then when it comes to eating, you know, one big rule, of course, is you are what you eat. That's a gigantic rule. It's just a fact. It's not only, you know, the general category of food, but actually the components of the food. So if the cows are eating corn, which they're not supposed to, they're supposed to eat grass. They're eating corn. Their tissues, their meat is constructed out of components of corn, and then we eat that meat, and then our tissues are constructed with those components, those proteins, and they're related to corn rather than the grass, and it makes a difference. And there's some frightening statistics out there how much we are made out of corn and soy because of the way, you know, our agriculture is run and the way we eat. So. We do a lot of eating on the move, either in the car or quick, because not enough time to sit down and eat. The family is sitting at the dinner table and talking to each other and sharing a meal, and it's kind of getting to be scarce. The kids are very busy. They have sports and after-school activities, and they have homework, and there's really no time to eat. Yet it's so important. And we kind of need to regain some of those traditions. Then the food that we do eat is, a lot of it is processed foods. In fact, unless you start from scratch, you buy fresh vegetables and fresh fruits and so on, and cook them right then and there. It's processed in one way or another. There's a few shortcuts like frozen vegetables. You know, there's some good product out there that's flash frozen, and it's still has still some nutrition that you can actually get after consuming the food. But we eat a lot of processed foods, especially in cafeterias and restaurants, but also at homes, in our homes. And what that means, it's ready to eat, it's convenient, but it's empty of nutrition. It's empty of nutrition because nutrition spoils, and the very nature of processed food is to make it, give it a shelf life. So you can put it on the shelf and it'd be good for a couple months or maybe even a couple of years. But nutrition will spoil right away. Nutrition will spoil within 24 hours, within a week for sure. The trouble with fresh food is you have to use it quickly. And now, another big factor is that we add, chemicals to the food. It starts in the springtime when they plow the fields over. They spray them with weed killers, herbicides, including Agent Orange, if you didn't know. And it's to kill the weeds, which the mechanism of how these weed killers work is that they block the absorption of minerals, and weeds need a lot of minerals. They're rich in minerals, so when they don't get the minerals, they die, and that's what we want, so that's what we spray. And then those, especially the genetically modified crops, will survive. So we got beautiful crops with no weeds. But guess what? There's no minerals in them. They're empty of minerals. They're void of minerals. So a lot of the commercial food, if it's not organically grown, is void of minerals. And then in an area like here where we kind of have farmland all around us, these chemicals, I can see them in my patients in the springtime. The farmers spray it, the wind picks it up, and the cloud comes across Camillus, down towards Fairmount. People breathe it in and get sore throats and headaches and all kinds of things. But nobody knows that that's what's causing it, like right around April or so. So the worst case scenario is then go to the doctor. The doctor thinks it's probably a strep throat or something, puts in antibiotics, and then it's a double whammy. We use a lot of chemicals in our agriculture. And speaking of agriculture, a lot of the food, the commercial food now, is genetically modified. Now what that means in itself is, when I think about genes and talk about genes, I think about it's God-given. That's how God created it. That's how God created us. That's how God created corn and soy. And now we've come around and we've monkeyed around with that, and for whatever reason, to make it more profitable, to make it better looking, to make whatever. And our bodies are not necessarily used to that kind of the makeup of the food. Okay, and doesn't know how to properly digest it, and that's why there's an incredible rise in allergies and so on. So anyway, it's just another stressor to our system. Okay. Can you hear me? Barely, huh? Okay. So anyway, so when I talk about these things, so basically, gaining weight or being obese is a stress syndrome. It's the body is stressed out. It's a stress syndrome. Okay. So what I would like you to learn today from me, if nothing else, is that there are much more stressors out there than you could ever think that we are aware of. Okay. It's not just a nagging husband or screaming kids or a grumpy boss, or those are common stressors that you ought to be able to deal with every day, just because. But then there is these things, like that we're not even aware of. You know, the farmers spraying stuff on the fields and the wind blowing it in our faces. The chemicals on the food as we eat it, it's supposed to nurture us. Instead, it's taxing us, and so on. And so my motto is know your body, know your genes, and know your food. If you know those three things, you can get pretty smart about what to do in order to be healthy, which means also to, you know, maintain some kind of a healthy weight. There's not really any, all these scales that they have, you know, the body mass index is supposed to be this or that. You know, everybody's different. It's not the same number for everybody. But there comes a point when it becomes unhealthy, you know, especially when it interferes with movement and you can't move anymore, because movement is very important to maintain health. So when I say know your body, one of the biggest stressors one of the biggest stressors that, and when I mean big, I mean quantity-wise, there's so many that we're not really aware of, is allergies. And they cause inflammation, and inflammation causes disease. Okay, so there's a couple of different ways of gaining weight. One is to produce fat cells, which fat cells are storage cells. So when we're talking about chemicals and toxins and things that we consume, they have to be stored. So it stimulates the body to produce fat cells. So these chemicals, these pesticides and herbicides that are on the food, our bodies don't really know how to break them down and get rid of them, so they have to store them. So that's where they go. They go into fat cells, which is why it's a very painful process to lose weight, because it's one thing to burn the fat, but then it's another thing to break down these toxins and get rid of them. So it's a slow and, you know, drawn out process. It's not so easy just to lose all these pounds. One really has to do it over time and sustain it. And then the other factor that's really big in gaining weight is inflammation. And inflammation causes various things, but among other things, it produces fluid. So a lot of weight is by fluid. Okay? And that can be actually gotten rid of much quicker than the fat itself, is the fluid. All we have to do, theoretically, is get rid of the inflammation. So a lot of inflammation comes from allergies. Now, anybody that has any kind of health issues, or most everybody, there's no 100% anywhere in nature, have hidden allergies that they're not aware of. Food allergies, allergies to environmental factors, allergies to their dogs and their cats, and you can be allergic to fleas, you know, and so on. So one person gets bit by a mosquito and it's just a little bump or nothing, and another person gets a big thing like that. So that person obviously is more allergic to that mosquito bite than another. So everybody that's seriously overweight has, in my experience, has food allergies. Some are more severe than others. But what that means is, you know, what we've talked about earlier, food is not as natural as it used to be. It's genetically modified and so on, and that it can be for that